Hello guys, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to our next tutorial on CSS3. In this particular video guys, I'll be taking you all through the position in the display properties. Basically how to properly position elements on our web page and even display them. So actually the display property is one of the most important CSS property for controlling the layout of some elements on our web page. If you want to actually get some of your elements or tags on your web pages properly displayed, then you need to have some kind of prior knowledge on the display property in CSS so that you can properly display elements on your web pages. So basically we'll be beginning with that one, then after that then we'll take a look at the position property, how to also position certain elements on our web page. Then I think we'll be done for this particular video, then we'll move to the next stuffs. Okay, so the display property actually uses it to specify how an element is displayed. Basically that's what it does. You just show how an element should be displayed on your web page, and every HTML element actually has a default display value depending on what type of element it is. So let's say we have your P element, you have your H1 element and all that. They're all by default, they all have their display values depending on the type of element it is. Then so by far the most popular ones is just you have block and inline display values. That's just it. By far that is just basically these two categories. It's either the element is by default an inline element, or by default it is a block element. So basically let's just quickly take a look at certain practical stuffs of it so that you guys will see what I'm talking about live and collect. So basically I just created my HTML file, and if you have been follow along with the previous episodes on this particular course I've released already, which is they are all on the channel, you will see that actually I've just created this boilerplate of code, which I have my H1. Basically this is what I just have H1 which I've just named as I said the position and display properties, and I've just basically changed the background color of our web page here. Then I'll actually just the text color to be white, and yeah, any text actually by default I just want it to be white just because of this background color. Then our H1, that's the position and the display properties. I just added some few styling to that. I think you guys can now do, if you are following along all this while you know how to do all this. Basically colors, yeah, we went through colors, background colors, aligning items, font size and font family, all those kind of stuff. So this is not anything new, but if you are new here, if this is actually your first time watching this particular tutorial, then I will highly recommend you check out my previous tutorials on this particular course, because it is a playlist and we are moving step by step. I'm not actually, it's not like a crash course where I'm boxing everything together. It's step by step. So if you don't know anything about CSS and you are just taking this particular, you are watching this particular video, I don't think you will understand some of the stuff. So I'll highly recommend you go back and watch the previous videos, then you can follow along. Okay, thank you for your audience. So basically guys, for instance, let's take a look at, let's say, a block level element. We say some of them are either block, or they are inline. So a block element always it starts on a new line. So every block element starts on a new line, and it takes up the full width available, and it stretches to the left and right as far as it can. For instance, we have H1, we have basically headings H1, H2, H3 and stuff. We have P tags, we have our form tags and all those stuff. We have footer and all those stuff. So for instance, let's say we have our H1, let's say H2. We already have H1, so let's just say H2, and let's just say hello there. Let's say we have another H2, then we'll say welcome there. Now let's save this. We have hello there, we have welcome there. you can see that these are what block level elements. They are starting on what new lines. They are not in line. They are what starting. You see, our first H1 is starting on what a new line. Welcome there to is also starting on a new line. So by default, they are block. We call them block level elements. They are what stuck on each other. We can see that hello there and what they are stuck on each other. That's just by default. So what if we want to change them to be inline? We want them to be inline, but not to be stuck on each other. Basically, not for them to be what in blocked. So what we say is we'll have to say first of all select our what our H1. That's what we are targeting. Then we give it a property of what display. Then if we with Visual Studio Code, one thing I like about it, and even some of the other apps, editors have also integrated this functionality. When you say the display, you can see there are tons of what values available for you that you can actually choose. So you see there are tons of them out there. So you can we actually have block content, flex box, flex row, grid, inline block, and inline flex, and all that. We'll get to flex box and see how we can actually also use the display property to do certain things when it comes to flex, grid, and all those stuffs. So but with the purpose of this particular tutorial, we are interested in only inline and inline block. So let's just say we want what inline. Let's just say we want what inline. For instance, let's even just say only inline. Now let's save and see what happens. Guys, you see when we save, it changes. Now hello there and welcome there are now inline. They are not stuck on each other. We've changed the default display or layout of it. By default it was blocked. Let me comment out this and see. So when we say by default, you guys can see that they are in block, but just with this single line of code, let me delete my comments. So with this single line of code, display inline, we can actually see that we have changed the default display or layout of it, which is what now inline. You can also say what inline block. They are all the same. Inline block and inline, they are all the same, but the small difference you guys can see is the inline block creates some kind of small margins to the particular element. Guys, see what happens when we say inline, we save. See, it moves to the top. When we say inline block and we save, it moves down. So basically that's just the similarity of it. Okay, I think that's not enough. What else? Let's take other examples and see, so you guys can actually understand this. So what if we say let's say we want what anchor tags. Okay, we want to display certain links on our web page. So let's just say okay, it's going nowhere. Let's just say this is what home. Let's just say this home. Let's just copy and paste this a couple of times. Please, let's paste it. Sorry guys, I've not copied it, so let's just paste that and paste that. So let's just say we are changing. Let's say we are just building a navigation menu. Let's just say here is contact and here is about us or something of that sort. Okay, by default anchor tags are what inline elements. What does inline element that they do not start on the inline element do not start on what new line, and the stretches with respect to the what the available width with the available width that is there. So you can see that these are inline. Unlike the H1 they were by default they were blocked. They were displayed in a block format. But by default, these anchor tags are what inline elements. So now let's say that we want to change the default display value or the default display layout. Let me put it that way. We want to change the default display layout of this our anchor tag. First of all, we will select them. Now we'll say what display. They are inline. So what do we say? Let's just say block. and see what happens. So you see that they are stuck on each other, and we can even what, remove that underline there. So we just say text decoration, then we say what, none, and it's what, gone. We are not focused on that, but I've just added that. So you see that by default the anchor tags were in line, but we've actually what, change it to block level what, element. Okay, so what if we have some list items? Okay, let's say let's just say HTML. Let's just say we have what, CSS, and let's just say we have JavaScript. Let's save and see what happens. So by default these list items are also, they are what, block level what, element. They are stacking on each other. So let's say we don't want that. We want to actually what, change the default what, layout of what, this one list items. So we just select that, then we say what, display, then we say what, inline block. Then we can actually now see that they are now inline, and the bullets are even taken away for us. So we don't even need to even say let's style type now to even take them out, because right now they are no more. This actually, when you are displaying list items on your web page, they are always in block format. So the browser automatically know that if you are making them inline, then that means that there are no more list items. So that's why it takes them out. Okay, someone to say, what if I want to actually hide that? I don't want it to be seen, but I don't want to manually go to my HTML page and delete this. Instead of deleting this or uncommenting this, I want to actually use CSS and delete that. So what you just say display, then you say none, boom, it's gone. But we don't have to alter our HTML code. We don't have to manually delete this. All we have to just do is just go to CSS, your CSS file. With this single line of code, display none is gone. Let's comment that and see. It's back again. So that's some of the ways you can do. Now, this is not the only way to actually hide this. Let me comment out this. You can also see visibility. Then you say what? Hidden. Save and see what happens. It's also taken away. So you can either use display none or visibility hidden. Now someone will say, so does it mean that they are the same? No, there are a bit of difference in this. The difference is that the display none, if you say display and you say now, what actually happens is the browser clears everything out. When you say display none, the browser just clears everything. It doesn't leave any space there again. It just takes away everything. But with the visibility hidden, you aren't actually taking away everything. You are only hiding it. So it's still there, but just that it's hidden. I don't know if you understand just the normal English of hidden. It's there, just that you hide it. But with the display now, you are taking it off from the page. Yeah, there are certain other things you guys can actually do. So you just have to do what, practice and play along with it, and you get full understanding of all these stuffs. Actually, so I don't intend spending so much long talking about some of these things. It's just pretty easy and straightforward. So guys, let's just jump straight into looking at what the position property, how to position certain elements on our web page. Okay, and we'll be taking a look at the static, we'll be taking a relative, we have absolute, we have fixed and sticky and all those kind of stuff. So let's just delete this out, and take away this as well. So all you guys have to just do, just try and play along, just practice on your own. Program is all about practicing. Code on your own and all those kind of stuff. That's how you understand it. By just coming to YouTube, watch Alexis tutorial or any other content creator tutorial wouldn't just make you a programmer, but you need to practice. I've shown you how to do it. Now sit on your own, take your laptop, take your editors in your browser, and start to practice. Change some of the things. Watch. You can actually even code what you are seeing and twist certain things. Do a lot of amazing stuff. That makes you a programmer. practice on your own. Okay, so right now let's take a look at what some of the position what properties we have. First of all, we have static. Static actually, the element actually is just positioned according to the normal flow of what the document, and we have top, right, bottom, and left. We have z index and all those kind of stuff. So when you actually assign an element a position to what static, it has no effects on your left, your right, and those kind of what positions, and that's always by far the most what default way. When you, all elements that you display on your web page are static elements till you now manually go there and make them dynamic. You change them with the layout, how they are displayed, how they are positioned, and all those kind of stuff. So I would like to take us through some examples for us to see what is happening, because we love the particles, right? Good. So let me just say we have a div element. Let's just say we have what div class, which is called to, let's just say, box. Okay, we just want to give some boxes. We want to display some boxes on our web page. So let's give it an ID though. Let's just say ID is equal to box 1. There will be a number of boxes, so let's name our first box as box 1, and let's just say 1 for us to actually just know that that is our first box. So now I'm just copying that, and I'll paste it a couple of times again. Now let me just change our ID here to box 2 and change this one to box 3, then do that with a naming as well. Let's 2, 3. Okay, let's save that. Now we cannot see them. We have 1, 2, and 3. Yes, they are boxes, but you cannot who actually make them box. Now it's just mere text. They are just some normal text, like a block level text, but will actually change their position. Will actually even display them in inline format, and do some cool stuff with them. So right now let's select this box. If you take, we've given this box class to all of these boxes. So if we select this box, any whatever styling we are giving to it is going to affect all these 3. Okay, so let's just say dot what box. Now first of all, let's just display them in an inline block format. Let's just display that in an inline block format. Okay, now you can see that they are in an inline form. Okay, let's change their background color. Actually, let's just change the background color to red. Let's save. Okay, now let's just give them a width and height of 100 pixels. So that we just basically want to increase the width and height of it. This is too small. I want to just make it. I want to make these 3 boxes a bit bigger. Okay, so we can see that they are a bit bigger. Now let's just give them some padding. Okay, so that we have some spacing between the text and the box. So let's just give a padding of 50 pixels and see. Okay, I think 50 pixels is quite big. Let's just give it 20. Okay, so you're saying let's just give 20 pixels. Then now let's just increase the font size small. Let's just give the font size to maybe 30 pixels. Yeah. So yeah, I think that is that. So now this is what I want to do. Let's select this particular ID, this particular box. Let's do certain things with this box so you guys will understand what I'm going to talk about. So let's just say the ID is what box 2. So the ID will just use the pound sign, which will just say hashtag box 2. So whatever styling that will be going inside here, this particular space, this space, whatever styling is going in there is going to affect only this box 2, because that's what we've selected. Okay, so let's just say let's just change the background color of it. Okay, so that it will stand out and we'll know what we're talking about. Let's just say let's just give it a blue color. Okay, so right now this second box, the color of it has been changed. Okay, now what of position? Let's position that. First of all, let's take a look at what position was relative. The position relative, actually the element is always positioned according to the normal flow of the document. That's what it just follow the what default way that the document is what layout, and the offset relative to itself, and it's based on the values of what the top, right, bottom, and the left. So and it doesn't, the space given actually for the element in the page or layout is just the same as the position of what the static. So by default we say static, our elements are always what in a static format. So let's just say we have what position, and we are saying our position should be relative, isn't it? So let's just say relative. Nothing happens with this line of code, position relative, and nothing's happening. Yes, what it does is it just follows the normal flow of the document. That's what it does. Okay, now let's say we want to push it a bit down. So what we just say top. Let's just say top 30 pixels. See what happens, guys. You can actually now see that it has been pushed a bit down. That means that it clears the top a bit, 30 pixels from the top. So it pushes it down a bit. So actually in my early stage of learning this particular CSS, sometimes I will actually want to push some of my elements to certain size, certain positions on my web page. Then I will say top this, left this, right at this. But it's like nothing is happening. I don't understand. Why is nothing happening? Because I've not specified this position what property. I've not specified it. That's why that is happening. So if you want to actually use this top, right, and left, and bottom, and all those stuff, you need to what specify your position what property, and you either assign it to what, be it relative or what absolute. We'll be taking a look at absolute very soon or quickly. So right now I've set top 30 pixels. Okay, one can say, okay, Alex, what if I want to actually shift it away from the left so that I can head towards the right? So you just say left. So you see left 30 pixels. It has moved to the left side. Now what of right? Okay, it has shifted a bit from the left side. One will say what of bottom? You see it has moved a bit from to the top. That's just the opposite of what we did the first time. That's with the top. Okay, guys, there's something you guys are not seeing here. Okay, let me do something here for you to actually understand what I'm talking about. So let's just say, let me even just give him a higher value like 200 pixels. Okay, guys, you can see that this has now been shifted downwards. Now look at what is happening. You see that as this has been shifted down here, these two boxes, that's this 1 and 3, are still in their normal flow. They are still in their normal position. Basically by default, this is how they are positioned. Like there was when we were actually pushing this, as we are pushing this, these two boxes are just in their position. They are not moving, they are not changing, nothing is happening to them. That's what the relative does. With the relative position, the element is positioned according to the normal flow of the document. That's what it does and nothing else. This will now to absolute. Now, and you see the space is even still lying down. No, nothing happens to the space. It's still just lying down. And whatever you do, you change your values of your top, your bottom, and left, this space will still be lying down for you. That's what the relative does, because the elements are just positioned according to the normal flow. The elements, they are positioned according to the normal flow of the document. Okay, let's change it to absolute. So now let me even tell you why absolute actually does. With the absolute, the element is removed. So it's just the opposite of the relative. The element is just removed from the normal document flow, and no space is created for the element in the page layout. Period. So let's just say something like this. Absolute. Let's just say we are changing it to absolute and see what happens. Guys, so you can see when we change it to absolute, we can now see that this third box has been shifted closer to the 1. But first, when it was relative, see what happens. It's still on, it's still where it is. Let me even just change. Let me just comment out this. You see, this is the normal flow. We've just changed the background color. That's just the normal flow. But when we add this, it's shifted. 3 is still there. It's still at this position. 3 is still at this position. 1 is still at this position. But 2 has been shifted down, and the space is still lying there. But when we change it to absolute, see what happens. Because you can see that it's a bit messy. Like the box 3 has actually now moved closer to the box 1. So and it doesn't leave any space. Relative leave space. It just leaves the space that was there, but absolute do not leave any space. So basically that's just the difference of it. So you can actually now start even using you can select 400 pixels, and you see we've now even moved it entirely from the three boxes, and the third box too has also gotten closer to the one, which it has affected the normal flow, and the space is not created anymore. So guys, so now let's take a look at fixed. When we say fixed, okay, so the fixed document actually with a fixed tool is the element is actually also taken away from the normal flow of the document. What happens is, let's say you have your page is a bit large, and you want to scroll. Whilst you are scrolling, some of your elements will be moving, but let's say that you want some of the elements not to move. You just want them to just be fixed, as the name just go fixed. What do you do to it? So for instance, this is what I'm going to do. Let's just delete this as styling out. Let's delete this. Okay, so let's come here. Let's just even take away all this. Yeah, there's nothing is there again. Okay, good. So for instance, we are just leave, but we'll leave this one H1. Okay, so now let me just say I have a huge number of text on my page. So let's just say P. Let's just say Lorem 500. This is huge, I know, right? I just want to demonstrate to you guys. Okay guys, see what happens. When we scroll, as we are beginning to scroll guys on the page, see what happens. This the position and display property, that's this our H1 is also what scrolling is moving. So with the help of CSS, we can actually make this fixed, so that when we are scrolling, it doesn't the position and display property do not move. It just stays on the page. So let's just say H1, we just come H1 and you say position fixed. Let's save and see what happens. See, now as we are scrolling, it's what moving. And I earlier answered that it also takes away from what the normal position. It was kind of top there, but I see that it has moved down and it's fixed. If you are scrolling, it just fixed. Nothing happens. It doesn't move again. Okay, let's comment out this. Let's save and see. You see it's moving. Let's save, and it's just fixed. Good. So one may ask, actually, how is this helpful? Let's say certain times there are some web pages that you are building, and you want your navigation menu not to scroll along with the rest of the content on your web page. So you can actually use this property so that your navigation menu will be stacked up there, so that when your visitors are scrolling, they can still see your home, your contact us, and all those stuffs. If you want to, you can actually take that off. It all depends upon you. By default, if you don't, when you are scrolling, your navigation or whatever that is at the top will also scroll along till you actually make them fixed, so that when your visitors are scrolling, everything is all stacked. Yeah, so guys, I think this brings us to the end of our CSS3 tutorial. Basically the end of this particular video for today. Guys, this might not seem very interesting and stuff, but I think I'm grateful I'm able to give you guys an overview of some of these things, or how they behave on the web pages. And we'll actually be doing a lot of fancy stuff, guys. Just exercise patience. You need to have knowledge in some of these things. I get that some of you are like, you want to actually start, you want to build website, yes, you will, but you have to build the foundation very well. It's very, very important. You need to learn some of these stuff. If not, right now, if I want to just say, okay, let's make a clone of the homepage of Netflix or even Amazon, then we start doing stuff. We will use a lot of stuff that will be new to you guys. Like, what do you mean by this line of, what do you mean by this line of code? You see, and it's that way. It's a bad way of learning to program, learning to code. So you need to understand some of these things. So bit by bit, bit by bit. You see, your web pages will be ugly at the beginning. Yes, you see, this is ugly. This is not nice. Yes, that's how it happens. Then bit by bit, as you are gaining the knowledge and you are building upon it, you'll not be able to build all those beautiful websites you have loved to build. You will do that, absolutely. You will. It's just about constant practice, rehearsing, practicing, and all those stuff, and you do amazing stuff. I tell you. So just exercise patience and learn these basic stuff. These are the building blocks. You don't learn some of these things properly, and you get to the advanced stuff, you will have to go back again, and which is just consuming time. Like you're wasting time like that. So if you like this video, please give it a like and a share. And if you have not subscribed yet, I think you are missing out. Subscribe to my channel. It's just a new channel. I'm still trying to still grow it, so basically I'm just sharing my skills, what I've learned. I'm also teaching you guys in a simpler way for you to understand. So thank you for your audience, and see you in the next tutorial. Just stay tuned. Thank you.